There are also things that are not architecture, but make an architect, like character, resilience, patience, persistence. My name is Dr. Lilian Namuganyi. I am a lecturer at Kyambogo University. I also teach at Makerere University. I've been teaching for the past 30 years, although I put in a little time to practice. I started my architectural journey not as an architect. I initially studied fine art, and from there I went on to study architecture at the Architectural Association in London. From there I came and joined a practicing firm with in Suvuga, and shortly afterwards I joined Makerere University. Even before I completed my studies, I knew that I wanted to teach, and I approached Makerere University a year before I graduated and made my intentions known. So when I came back, the process of being recruited started at Makerere University, and hence I joined. Kyambogo University started much later. The architectural education at Kyambogo University started much later, and I've been teaching here for 10 years. I started my journey very early in life, even though at the time I didn't know that I had started my journey. For example, as early as 4 years old, I was painting. My parents bought me my first set of paints when I was about 3 years old, and they really encouraged my artistic journey. They bought me all the art materials. So in my free time, I would be painting as early as 4 years old. When I joined art school, incidentally, it is one of my tutors who realized that I had an interest in architecture, because I was reading architecture books. I was having discussions about architecture, even though I wasn't aware myself that that was the interest I had. So when this lecturer of mine met my parents, he pointed out to them that I had an interest in architecture. And so then we proceeded to find a place in architecture school. Some of the influential architects at that time who supported, apart from that particular lecturer, the late Musango Guantamu, Francis Musango Guantamu, may God rest his soul in peace. Apart from him, architects like Nuru Kadu played a big role in pointing me in the right direction. At the time, there was no architectural education in Uganda, so he suggested that I apply to a university in Britain. When he told me about the good universities, he did not let me know how competitive it was. And I'm grateful for that, because I would probably have been intimidated to apply to the Architectural Association. It's like if somebody tells you that Harvard is a great school, you may get intimidated. So I didn't even know when I was applying to the Architectural Association. I got called in for an interview, and I got in. Even when I was doing the interview, I had no idea how so very competitive it was. So ignorance can be bliss. I'm very glad I got in. A day in my life, I don't have a typical day to start with. I am a creative. Architects are creatives, and creativity can sometimes come, but I'm also an educator, and as an educator, both educators and creatives, they need time to process. So there are people who might look at me and think I waste time. There are days I will wake up and I seem to be doing nothing. If you're a student of architecture, you know that there are those days when you're doing nothing. In reality, you're processing. It is work. It is work, even though it doesn't seem like work to other people. So I have days like that. But there are days when I wake up and I am going to teach. Those kinds of days are run. I may get up at 5. Still, you have time when you're processing what you might be, the messages you will be putting forward. You might be thinking about a particular student's project. You might be thinking about a particular problem or processing a particular discussion. So those are the things I do. Then I'll teach. I'll come in and teach, engage with students, and go back. My work, I don't have off time, even though it looks like I do waste a lot of time. So, in fact, much of my career is teaching intentionally, because my mind cannot handle teaching and practice. I will do a few jobs, but they have to be interesting jobs. Yeah, because if I divide my time, then I wouldn't be a good teacher. Yeah. The times have changed. I've been teaching for 30 years, and the times have changed from when I first started teaching to the current times. When I first started teaching, the student tutor ratio was very manageable. As the years have gone by, resources have been more scarce, including staff resources. So we've had to do much more. The workload has significantly increased, yet the resources to handle the workload haven't. So that has been a major challenge. Perhaps I will also point out that it would have been good to have more cooperation, or more, sometimes, not always, sometimes it may have been good to have more teamwork, because you do not, nobody ever runs anything or achieves anything without a good team. And that sometimes has not always been at its optimum. But thankfully, that has only been sometimes. The reason that I joined teaching was to give to society and to have my contribution and make an impact. So obviously, when I see my students succeed, when I see my students grow up, they come in when they're 18, they're children. And it's a privileged position to see somebody from being a child, a man child, or a girl or a woman child, and they grow up to be men and women right before your very eyes. I think that's a privilege. We are like parents of sorts. Yeah, we are parents where the parents are not there. Yeah. Education, any sort of education happens in the classroom, in the lecture room. It also happens in society. We receive, I feel that we do more than we should. Architectural education is so complete and such that sometimes we are handling things that should have been handled by society. We are glad to do it, but I wish that it's beyond our control what society does before our clients, the students, get to us. So that, I think, if something could be done about that, that would be good. Because sometimes we receive students at a level that is not as creative as we might want them to be when we receive them. So we are doing troubleshooting and at the same time trying to get in an architectural education. We are trying to get them ready to start architecture school and then go through the architectural program. They are doing what they should have done in nursery school, that is to play, to be creative, to be silly, and we are trying to squeeze all that in 1 year or 2 years and then get on with the architectural education at the same time. There are also things that are not architecture per se, but make an architect, like character. Things like resilience, patience, persistence. As an architecture student, you would understand, I think you've experienced that you don't just go and learn how to draw, how to make models, but you pick up these skills. You must pick up these skills along the way. So we are charged with doing those things as well as teaching the skills, the practical skills of being an architect. It is challenging, but enjoyable. Yeah. One of the things, and it's needed so much in society, not just for Dr. Namuganyi. I think society needs a level of depth, at least for some people. And environment has a lot to play with how deep a society is. What do I mean by depth? People who are reflective, people who look inside themselves, a level of spirituality because we always say mind, body, and soul. And by spirituality, I don't mean religion, but a consciousness of self and a consciousness of the world beyond you, the world you're in and the world beyond you. And I think that takes sometimes withdrawing from society, because if you don't withdraw, you're left immersed in noise. So the house, in fact, the society I would like to build is a society that has some quietness. And I don't mean just sound quietness, that too, but an environment that allows reflection, a quiet spirit, an environment that allows a quiet spirit, so that we are able to look inward and to be creative, because without this quiet, you can't create. You can't think thoughts that allow you to create. And it would be wonderful. So, serenity, such is a place I would like to design. Yeah. I would like to recognize and pay tribute to my students. When you're an educator, it's not a one-way. It's not a one-way journey. As you're teaching, you get back. You get a lot actually from your students. You get a lot from your colleagues. Education has been, I'm about to retire, education has been my family. The people I've worked with, they have been my family. And I recognize their contribution to my journey. I would like especially to thank Architect Tanguyo and others, of course. Perhaps I would also like to thank Dr. Nawangwe greatly, because he gave me a foot into the world of academia. He believed in me and opened the door to the academic world and allowed me to do my thing, even when sometimes it was controversial. But he trusted and allowed me to take the step into an unknown world, which even other people were sometimes thinking, what's she doing? But he stood by me and allowed me to do what I had to do. I want to thank him. Everybody who has touched me has made a great contribution to this journey. Thank you.